Hi, this is Ellen Burke, and tonight I'm doing my presentation on orthopedic impairment. Orthopedic impairment is described with a few different factors in mind, but before we start identifying the characteristics, it's important to identify some of the interventions that are needed for students with disabilities. The 1997 Amendment to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act addresses the issue of classroom behavior problems as well as individual instructional programs. These two teams kind of come together to create a positive behavioral intervention and support students. I firmly believe that all students, regardless of disabilities, really could benefit from interventions from their teachers and also teams of professionals that support their learning. Some students with disabilities require special education services and some do not. Orthopedic students that have orthopedic impairments definitely require some varying degrees of resources available to them. Characteristics of orthopedic impairment include neuromotor impairment. Neuromotor impairment usually is acquired at or before birth, and this is very complex motor problems. So the complexity of their motor problems usually has a loss of limb control, maybe loss of urinary control, proper alignment of spine. And these two most common types of neuromotor impairments are cerebral palsy and spinal bifida. Degenerative diseases mostly occur after the fact, and they affect motor development. So these are found in school population, most generally in students that have muscular dystrophy. And these are mostly inherited types of diseases that have to do with muscle weaknesses of degeneration of muscle fibers. Musculoskeletal disorders vary in levels of physical limitations with students. And two examples of that might be juvenile rheumatoid arthritis or limb deficiency. Students with orthopedic impairment have no cognitive learning problem, perceptual language, or sensory issues. However, these individuals have higher incident of additional impairments. Just because of the brain trauma, sometimes they have additional neurological problems that need to be addressed. So usually these students will have multiple issues. Several teaching strategies that students can benefit from are just a real collaborative effort between the general and special educators, as well as being able to accommodate and vary the needs of each student. Inclusion is in general curriculum as much as possible really aids the progress of each individual student, and also does their team of specialists. So these specialists are joined together with physical therapists who work on gross motor skills and occupational therapists that work with fine motor skills. In addition, speech pathologists and adaptive PE teachers that help design special exercise programs. So the majority of students with orthopedic impairment are able to successfully complete high school. However, the devices that they need for technology are really going to equal their success. So some of these devices include recognition software, screen reading software, different devices for positioning and mobility, like walkers and canes and wheelchairs, crutches, and then specialized equipment, either exercise equipment, specialized desks, tables, or chairs for posture development. each of these students have very special needs and not necessarily should be made to feel like they're different. So differently abled possibly, but as long as they have a strong support team, students will generally succeed.